Welcome to Boring Conversations. Today I'm speaking with Rahma Jimoh, a Nigerian writer and poet. She is the author of the chapbook Ashes, selected for the African Poetry Book Fund's New Generation African Poets series. Her work has appeared in journals including Agbowo, Isele Magazine, Tenderbox, Poetry Journal, Sandhill Journal, and Kalahari Review. And her essay, Black Butterflies, was published by Olongo Africa, a work we'll still be exploring down here today. It was published by Olongo Africa. She's currently an MFA candidate in creative writing at the University of Alabama. Without further ado, I give you my guest for today, Rahma Jimoh. Welcome to Boring Conversations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Ashes began from a specific experience you have spoken about, publicly and the likes of that. Can you take us back to that moment and give us a glimpse as to why it has taken so long and why it continually be something for you, both emotional and structural? It's also the center of your the chapbook.
Yeah. Okay. Honestly, I actually did not intend for it to be the center of my sharp book. I think I titled the sharp book. I can't remember what poem. I think it was play acting. That was what I initially wanted the title of the sharp book to be. But along the lines, editing and all of it, they suggested ashes, and it was fine with me. But yeah, since I've written Ashes, I think it has, apart from it be appearing in my sharp book, it was also featured on the Slowdown show.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it was also like that was after its publication in the magazine that published it. But yeah, again, Ashes was inspired by a fire incident. And the fire I that day I remember that we came out and we saw smoke coming from afar, and we did not know where the smoke was coming from. And then people started talking that, oh, there is a fire at so and all of that. And the place was like really far from my house, but everyone was going there, and so we went to and we got to the venue, and there was this tanker that had fallen on the road, causing a big fire. And the fire like affected the houses close by. There were shops and a lot of things, but thankfully no one got injured or no one got dead. Injured, I think maybe a few people got injured, but there were no casualties. But like that day, the fire was too much, and the only reason why the tanker fell was because the road was no good. If the road was good, the tanker would not have fallen on. And the places, though it is like a main road, but there are houses around, there are children playing and all of that. So like a lot of things could have happened that day. And when I got there, I saw the fire. I was like, God, what is this country? Like, what is this? And that is not the first time. That is not going to be the second time. Not necessarily fires. Accident happen every time because the road is not good. A lot of things, a lot of things, a lot of things. So yeah, I was devastated that day. And I was just that was the first time I would see a fire accident so close and oh my god. And so it was traumatic for me and it just stuck in my head. And I wanted to write about it. Initially, I wanted to write it as a news story, but that day I could not even write anything. I wanted to send it to like media outlet and all of it, but I could not cover it as a news because I was too stunned. And so after some months, I found myself writing Ashes. And that was it. And I think Ashes was one of the poems that I submitted, and I don't think it was rejected at all. It was probably its first submission, and it got accepted. Yeah.
Is the road fixed now? The road where that accident happened. I know
No,
you're not in Nigeria, but
see,
can you just guess?
no, the road is not fixed. It happened like I think a year before I left Nigeria. And before I left Nigeria, it was not fixed. Until now, it is not fixed. And that day, I later heard that the representative of the governor went to the venue when the news took it and all of it. And they were making promises and saying they'll fix the road, they'll give people whose properties were destroyed money and all of it. I don't know, but Nigeria, I don't think they give anybody money to like reconstruct their properties or whatever. But yeah, the road is not fixed. It is still getting worse and worse every time. That's just the nature of our country, I guess.
They went with cameras, right?
Yeah.
Do you think the roads would one day get fixed? And if it will get fixed, what crop of politicians or what crop of leaders will get to do that? Is it the crop of leaders we have now, or the likes of the ones Achebe probably envisaged, or leaders who are leaders in the true sense of the word?
Well, maybe it would get fixed someday. Um, I think Nigeria is actually getting better. Okay, yeah. The development is there, but it is like really slow, really, really slow. Because though that particular road is not fixed, there are other places close to it that already started getting repaired before I traveled. Like the roads in Bega, Akute. I think some of those roads were getting fixed before I left. But that particular place, you would think that after that incident that they would like rush to do something. Like it will not even take them anything to do the road at once. We are paying taxes, but it is what it is, I guess. So yeah, I do believe that the road will get fixed. It's just that until when? Is it until another accident happen and maybe that time people die? Why do we like keep stalling and postponing things? I don't.
Yeah, it's kind of disturbing as to how these guys also equally travel. They travel, they see places, they see things, they see how conversations are had abroad. We were planning this interview. We were not. There are certain conversations that we didn't take into consideration while planning this conversation. Things like electricity.
Mhm.
It never occurred to you or me to question whether there will be light here or not. I keep on telling people that the house where I live, I think the light has not gone off even before I was even born. It's like the light in the city has almost always been, the way it has been. Maybe voltage has changed here and there. So
Mm.
that conversation was not hard. We never had the difficulty to talk about, okay, we had a little bit of internet glitch, but it was just a mild one, and that we were not having that fear. But I know in Nigeria, when I try to have conversations with authors in Nigeria, sometimes we do the conversation like 3 days because one, the laptop goes off at a point, or the phone goes down at a
Yeah.
point,
I'm
and then
pretty
okay,
yeah,
okay,
go on. Okay, yeah, I want to
okay.
say I'm pretty sure if I was in Nigeria, I'm not sure this conversation would have happened. Like, it's either NEPA will take the light, maybe my laptop will be low, or the network will be bad and I would not be able to join. Something will just happen at the last minute. I'm tired. Sorry, where are you?
I am currently in Europe. I
Oh,
am making a documentary on Conrad's Heart of Darkness. It's a docu-series. It's taken me a couple of years. So I shuttle between Germany, Belgium, Czechia, and then Poland. But I'm doing other documentaries. But currently we're like wrapping up with Conrad's Heart of Darkness. Conrad's Heart of Darkness, it's born out of not just the book, but the politics in the book, the reason why the book even was written,
hmm.
and the whole conversation as to what many African writers think Conrad's Heart of Darkness is and what it is not, and what it has not been discussed or talked about. So recently, I met Professor Professor Buna Abdurazak, and
Oh, okay.
we're having a conversation also about Conrad's Heart of Darkness. He also had taught Heart of Darkness. Chino Achebe also had taught Heart of Darkness, I think at Brown University in the US down there. Professor, I don't know if he still teaches Heart of Darkness. I might have to ask him, but so I'm just like exploring and talking to authors and a whole lot of other persons down there as
Uh-huh.
to what is this book about, and not just the book, what what is Conrad's Heart of Darkness about on two fronts. Conrad's Heart of Darkness as Conrad's own heart, and if there was darkness in there, and also Conrad's Heart of Darkness as the book itself, and
Uh,
then also Conrad's Heart of Darkness as to what the book, to a large extent, can say mostly about us. You can relate it to
mm,
our politicians, and it will comfortably fit in. You can
right.
relate it to the current situations in the Middle East, and it will comfortably fit in.
Right,
You don't
right.
have to comment on this particular one, but you could relate it to America and Venezuela at the moment, and it will
Uh-huh.
comfortably still almost fit in. The question that remains constant is the idea of consent for me. The
Uh-huh.
idea of consent, you know, Conrad was in Congo himself. He's no longer here. He actually visited Congo before he wrote Heart of Darkness. I think he wrote Heart of Darkness 2 years later, or published it 2 years later or so. So I'm like looking at the conversations as to what makes a land a people's own and what makes it to no longer be their own.
Uh,
What gives you the right to say these people are like this, and what gives you the right also to say otherwise. And there are lots of philosophies, or there are lots of philosophers, the ones we tend to also get to acclaim, like um, Hegel and a couple of other guys, John Locke, who championed the American Constitution and all that, to see how also the Constitution also was haphazardly written in America, because many persons just read "We the People" and then they end there. But few lines after "We the People," you get to
uh-huh.
see the real people it was talking about. So, after it says, "We hold this truth to be self-evident," you go down a little bit and you get to see the real people it was talking about. It
Uh-huh.
was not talking about women. It wasn't talking about slaves and people of color and all that. And so it's taken me a long time, and it's also taking different angles beyond just the book itself, because I believe Conrad was writing from a time, from his own time, and
Uh-huh.
the time also gets to affect him. Some persons I've spoken to have been sympathetic as to who Conrad was and the importance of such a book, but you get to ask yourself, if I am quoting Things Fall Apart, and I remember the whole conversation as to where there was a conversation concerning the main center of that particular book. The center can no longer, the white man has put a knife on the thing that held us as one, and we can no longer stand as one. I am not remembering Obierika in that particular conversation, or the likes of those people, the characters. I am thinking about Achebe.
Uh-huh.
When you are quoting the person you wrote right below down there is Achebe. But the problem with Conrad's book, particularly Heart of Darkness, is you need to use Malo, or you need to use quotes to like really, really talk about the things you are talking about, because Conrad at no point inserted himself into the book as
Um,
the third person
uh-huh.
omniscient voice down there. It was written in first person singular, and then it was written by the characters themselves,
Oh,
more or less like War and Peace of Leo Tolstoy was with
wow.
Leo gave his characters all the power to speak in and about
Mhm.
themselves. And so it becomes difficult to really quote Conrad as to Malo is speaking, so is that Conrad? So that's another
Mm.
angle that will be looked at from the book, but from the documentary. So we get to see what happens in the long run. So yeah.
Wow, I think that is interesting. Now I want to read the book. What do you mean you can't quote the author, but like you have to quote the characters? Yeah,
Because he didn't
interesting.
speak himself.
Yeah.
The characters were the ones speaking. But that's what I'm saying. We leave it for the end point of the documentary, and then we get to see how the documentary
Hmm.
tends to come out down there. And one other stuff also I'm doing within this region is the conversation born out of the African Writers series. So I'm looking at all of what has been written down there from BT to Wationgo to Chinua Achebe to the different persons, the popular ones and the ones that are not popular. So it's almost like a full-time job. I'm also seriously invested. Okay, I shouldn't have said this now, but it has already come out. I'm seriously also invested in the African Poetry Book Funds
Hmm.
projects, the projects they are doing down there, from Romeo's Walk to Sadiq to the different persons down there. We've had Chinua, Ezenwo Oketo, we have Chisom Okafor. Yeah, lots of persons being published down there. The works of Gabriel Okara had been published thanks to Baba Dawes and Baba Chris Abani, and they have paid their dues, even if they don't do any other thing again. I think
Yeah,
they have
they are
done
doing a
wonderfully well.
lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
they are doing a lot, a lot.
How did you how did you um receive the news that your piece was selected to be part of this particular chapbook series?
Okay, I'm trying to picture that day,
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah, it was. I was really happy, and I think it also came a bit surprising because like when I submitted it, I was full of doubt. I was like, will I make it? Because the circumstances surrounding my submission, which I've also talked about, I was in
Yeah.
NYSC camp and I thought I could not make it. When I got the email soliciting for submission, I wanted to leave camp and go back home so I could concentrate and like write it. But I was in ocean camp, like a day, and I was enjoying camp. I did not want to miss out on everything that was happening in camp. And
It's
I
Oshun
was,
Camp the way. Sorry, it's Oshun Camp that vibe. I thought it used to be Lagos.
yeah, I was actually a Lagos copper, but um they um they posted me to Ocean camp. So after my camp, I came back to Lagos to serve.
Oh
But
no, I don't mean the youth service itself. I know the camp life, the
yeah,
life in
the
the
camp
camp
was
itself.
actually interesting for me. I'm surprised a lot of people don't enjoy NYSC camp, but I enjoyed it. I did not want to leave. I was enjoying the experience, and I also wanted to like write this sharp book. And I'm so happy that it actually made it because if I did not make it, I don't think I would have forgiven myself. And so I did not want to leave camp and go back to Lagos. I was really torn, but I just said, okay, well, I have poems, and so let me see if I can compile them together and write a few new poems. And I did that. I remember that I submitted on the deadline day. It was on a Friday, and it was like very few hours to the deadline. That was how tight I was during the 3 weeks of camp. I remember that I missed my lunch that day and it was jollof rice. And I was so pained, but though I later got my way around it and I got food back. But because I had to like submit, I after I compiled my poems together, I added like 2 or 3 new poems that I wrote at camp there. And then I sent it to a friend who looked at it and was like, oh yeah, I think he suggested a few things and that was it. And I just submitted. But my mouth was legit in my heart was in my mouth and I was praying to God that I don't want to lose this opportunity. Like I want to get in. But I was also really I also did not want to miss out on camp. And I'm so happy. So when I saw the email, I was like, oh wow, God, you did this for me. I was really happy. I was happy. Also because a year before I got solicited and I submitted some poems, but they were rejected. That year though, I think all of us that got solicited, I don't know why, most of us did not get a reply. I think maybe they had to like publish some set of poets. That was like the
Mhm.
last set of the APBF sharp book, and then they
Yeah.
re-solicited us. But that year, and I really wanted it that year. Though I sent like another different sharp book for that. I did not want to resubmit that particular one. So I had to
Mhm.
like just compile some poems about Nigeria and a few personal poems and I just submitted it.
What about Nigeria?
What about Nigeria?
Yeah, what about Nigeria? What is Nigeria to you? What are you to Nigeria?
Uh, Ni- How do I
It's too
answer?
broad, right?
Yeah, Nigeria
Just
is
pick,
many things.
touch the elephant from anywhere.
Yeah, because Nigeria is many things. I mean, I'm Nigerian and I love Nigeria. Yes, and I want Nigeria to be better. I like Nigeria is home. I'm also not happy about the current state of my country, Nigeria. Though I feel like Nigeria is getting better, but can also be better. But again, like I said recently, sometimes I like to think of it from the years and I think we like to compare ourselves with already developed countries, and it is really not realistic that we can be as developed as they are because they've been here for longer time than before we got like civilized or
Mhm.
independence, and like they've been here, so we really can't compare. And I think that's just the way life is. Like the there's always the most powerful, there's always the more, the better, and there's always the one who is like, yes, I don't know. But yeah, I think that's just about it. But Nigeria is getting better. It is, I believe. And I also love Nigeria for our culture and diversity and the way we just do things, who we are. Like, we are a very funny, annoying set of people. Nigerians are just we are wonderful people. Yeah. I
In
don't
our
think they
own
like
way.
yeah, we are I don't think there's any other race like Nigeria, even other Africans. Like we have this madness in our head that is just it's just so hard to see in any other place here.
It's how we've been able to survive and it's how we've been able to, against all odds.
Mhm.
We live amongst the most unrealistic events that many persons cannot think about, and yet we wake up every morning with that swagger DKT Merejo will talk about, and you would think we have like 2 million naira in our account or 5 million naira in our account, and we would just be bouncing with our with our whatsoever brand of clothes we think we are wearing from Chanel or the different brands that don't even send their materials to Nigeria, and then we tell ourselves, we are who we are, and I think it's a
We are
good thing.
resilient.
Yeah, we are resilient, but there's a problem also with just being resilient. And I think the leaders have tapped in from that particular standpoint also.
Yeah.
Recently they have been reviewing They have been reviewing medical research and findings as it concerns. I think it's America. It's in America. It happened recently where this guy won the, was it the, forgotten the prize. There's this African American. They said that they shouldn't call them that again. What should they call them now? Afro American. There are just so many lists now. I don't
Black
even know which.
America.
I I don't. I'm not even trying to be politically correct here, but we get what we are talking about. One of these guys started making videos of the concern, the different conversation as it concerns how blacks can resist so and so disease, how black women can last longer um, during pregnancy, how do you call it? During contraptions, right? And as well as giving birth and all of those type of conversations. And I think also we should be like Singapore for a moment. Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore used to accept that his country was a third world country while he was actually doing the work. He never refused his country being called a third world country because it didn't change anything. His country was making the progress. He was still getting the money he was getting as loans and everything, and then developing his own country. And our leaders, I think, have tapped into that particular narrative to tell us that, Nigerians will do well. And I think that's why the roads have not been fixed. And I want us to be a little
True.
bit, not so much, just a little bit conscious as it concerns that now you and I will fix this country. No any other person go, no other person will come and do this particular conversation down here for us and the likes of that. But then you wrote Black Butterflies, and it carries place, it carries its own memory down there together. And you probably must have had moments in your life or personal memories um, that you talked about also. But how did you come about the collection of words? I think it was Toni Morrison that talked about that um, everybody have access to the dictionary, but it's only the writer that knows how to pick the right words
Hmm.
to form a sentence, to form a paragraph, from there form a full page and then a chapter and the likes of that. What
True.
memories guided you in picking the words that gave rise to Black Butterflies?
That's non-fiction piece too. It's something I've always wanted to write after the 2020 protest and all, but I did not get
Yeah.
to it until there was a call for submission to write like essays. Though my essay did not make it for that particular anthology, but like
Yeah.
of course I submitted it to Lungo African. But so yeah, I remember sitting down that day and trying to write it, and the first incident that came to my mind was like me in my cousin's room and the opening incident of the essay and the butterflies and the jota. And though I changed a lot of things and some things are not like as accurate as it is to protect who I'm writing about and
Of
all
course.
of that, and to protect myself and my family. But still, I don't it's not something I really like to like talk about or think
Mhm.
about. But again, the words, I that was one of the most easiest essays I wrote. Like the words were just coming in. Maybe because it is not like imaginative. Maybe because it is actually true. I think I am with that with like non-fiction essays and pieces. I was writing 2 days ago for John assignment 10 paper, and I could not believe that I would I was able to like write a 25-page essay in 1 week. When my professor told me to write 15 pages, I was like, 15 pages, how did I want to do it? To me, it was a lot. And then I sat down and started writing. And I wrote more than 15 pages. I wrote 25 pages. And this is because I'm writing from an incident that has actually happened to me that is true. So I think with that, I don't really have to like look for the words. Though, as a writer, sometimes I'm writing something and I'm suddenly realizing that, okay, no, this is not the right word for this particular, for the way I have expressed this. Maybe people are going to like get different meaning and interpret
Mhm.
this in some other ways. And I try to like change it and edit it and all of that. But I think with non-fiction pieces, it just comes naturally for me. Yeah.
Well, that's both demanding as well as challenging too. I have an American friend in Poland. She's almost always skeptical about me. She's like, "Hope you're not going to use our experience and write something." I'm like, "Relax, relax." Like I used to hear Chimamanda say this many years ago. It never occurred to me that one day my friends they keep on asking me. I think I'm down here. I gave a manuscript to somebody to look at, and the person was like, "Who is this particular one about?" I'm like, "It's about nobody. It's just a work of fiction off my head." And he's like, "Am I inside?" I'm like, Why will you think you are inside the work?" And he's like, "I don't know. You guys who are writers are like
It,
mad
it is
people.
what it is.
You
And
guys would just okay."
but there's nothing we can do. Like when we are writing, we are expected to write about the world. Like even if it is fiction, it is expected
Yeah.
to be realistic. And so you have to like model your characters after real people. you for instance, one of my fiction for a character, I modeled a character from two different people. And so yeah, that can also happen. It does not really have to be one person. But it's like people sometimes you write and it's not even necessarily about you, but people believe it is you, it is about you. People cannot seem to separate a writer from the writing, or like a writer's experience of other people from a writer's personal experience. And a whole lot of things. And like we have to do the work. We have to write what we have to write. Who is going to write about the bad experiences, about everything, if we are all running away from it because we don't want people to like think that that happened to us or something like that. So I guess that's our cross to carry. We will write about people that are close to us, people that we have seen, people that we have experienced. It is it is our work. Make them no vex. But but
She
yeah.
don't make no vex.
Yeah, I think that does it. But I try to like code things when I'm writing about people that are close or something. I don't just go in and write everything. Maybe I pick some traits from here and there and all of it. But I try to cover so it doesn't really seem like a particular person. Because yeah, I've also been a brunt of it. I've seen people write things that are actually like about me or use me as characters. And yeah, I know how painful that can be, especially if they are kind of like exaggerating it or projecting and things like that.
But if you're exaggerating it, that is no longer your experience. So it's not non-fiction. Isn't that
True.
them trying to use their artistic skill to like move or be further?
Yeah, I think that's too. But when you know that, oh, this person was inspired by myself, like, I know
Mhm.
you'll be.
Okay. I mean, because like this particular manuscript I gave to this particular person, nonetheless, still was a situation born out of the fact that I was it in was it in France or Germany? I can't remember now. But it was a summer, maybe 2 years ago or last year, I guess. A Ukrainian girl was going for vacation,
Mhm.
and she was going for vacation from Ukraine, and the war was going on, and I couldn't just imagine the scenario. I have lots of Ukrainian friends, right, by the way, and all that. But I was like asking myself, she's 28, 29. I
Mm.
can't look. I can't look that up. It's here. I think 28, 29. Okay, 28. Her boyfriend happens to be 24. The following the following month was when he will be due for conscription because at 18 boys can no longer leave. At 25 they are conscripted for the army. Their military allows the boys to turn 25 before they get conscripted to the army, but at 18 boys can no longer leave. Boys can no longer leave the the country at 18. So some boys get smuggled out of the country before they turn 18, or they get to leave and then they don't get to return. I have a couple of families have also met their children at 18. At 17, they left the country. Now they're 18, 19, 20. They can no longer go back up until, let's say, the war gets to stop. And I also have Russians also who happen to be my friends. And the irony of the matter is that the Russians left because they are not in support of their government. But Russia is so big that it spans from Asia down there up onto America, with you guys down there sharing a very, very close boundary, the largest country by landmass in the world. But then these people are having difficulties abroad. I was just like trying to think how this girl even enjoys a summer holiday, knowing fully well that the boyfriend cannot live with her on the one hand, and also knowing fully well that she has to go back to the country because she was not escaping. She just left for maybe to cool off her head from something and the likes of that. And then a few years later, about a year later, not a few years later, because this happened within the space of about 2 years ago or so. I met a group of met a group of Ukrainian soldiers on Polish waters when we were shooting a particular scene in a Polish harbor for Conrad's Heart of Darkness. So my sailor introduced me to the other Ukrainian soldiers. The soldiers came to cool off their head based off of they are just fresh from the war front. They don't take them
Mm.
immediately to their family. They take them first to like get them almost like acquainted back with society, off the war and off the gun ablaze and every other stuff down there. And so I like you were trying to like view two characters from one person, from two characters from different persons. I'm looking at the soldiers who are living off the war, coming to chill in this Polish water, and then my sailor happened to be um people who have also like been to Africa because I've worked with like two, three sailors that concerns this particular documentary and all that. And I'm just asking myself, how do they even manage? How do they manage this thing they call vacation? And that was what gave rise to this particular this particular manuscript down there. And then I was just as I was just looking at this particular stuff came up on top. It says back home there are no libraries. And the first line down here says, I wish I was exaggerating, but I am not. There are few books, fewer than one can believe, for a people so large, for a people large as we are people who choose to live lavishly and loud, are people with houses poorly planned. I don't know about that, but yes. Are people dying, clinging on to anything? Are people hoping against all hope? Is this Nigeria?
No.
That's not Nigeria. Are there libraries back home? Enough libraries.
Hmm. I think like this boils down to when we say that things language is universal. Maybe not
Yeah,
language, but like our experiences. I mean, if a Nigerian reads that poem, it perfectly fits into the context of Nigeria. Like
yeah.
people dying, everything, every of the line perfectly fits. It is not Nigeria, but yeah, it fits into the Nigerian context and the Nigerian situation, and that's just so sad. Yeah.
When you were in Nigeria, how did you access books?
mostly ebooks. But
Mm-hmm.
growing up, there were books.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there was this Ladybird series that a family friend used to bring, who was working in
Yeah.
Longman. And my dad is a teacher. He's retired now, but he was a teacher in Command Secondary School. And he was always bringing us books from the library, especially the school yearbook. I was always engrossed in the yearbook. Then my mom is also a teacher. So there were books, but like children books and growing up and all of that. And I had friends who were also readers in secondary school. I was reading Harlequin romance mostly then. And these books then we would even like exchange it with our
Almost
teachers.
everybody's almost guilty of this particular no, but almost nobody escapes this particular
See,
question. Romance, like
I I was reading Harlequin romance like one every day. I would get a book from school today, take it home. I would read it overnight. I hardly slept. And then the next day, I'm with another book. Read it overnight again. Me and my friend Esther Ayigbe, we were like that, and we would exchange the books with like our teachers. We had teachers who were also reading it. They would bring books for us, which would bring, and it was like a black market kind of. I don't understand. Exchange and exchange. You borrow me, you collect another one. You borrow, you collect another one. It was really a time then. I was always reading. My dad would come and off the light, collect the candle, take the lantern, everything. Sometimes I'll buy my own candle, I'll hide it because I need to finish that book and get another one. It was like that then. Yeah, I was also reading this Nana Bone, is it Nana Boy series? It was a series of books like that was like about um it was like it has this village setting, but they were really interesting and well written stories. Then it's Nana Boy, very they were tragedy. Most of the stories were tragic, but they
Mhm.
were really good. And there was also this 15 naira, 100 naira storybooks. I don't think they still do those things in Nigeria. I don't think they still
I
15
I want
naira.
I want to believe they still do, but I don't know. I don't know
Ah,
anyways.
God, I had such a shy dude like that. I would save my money and buy those books. There was one bookshop that was like a little bit far, but they were selling these 15 naira, 100 naira books, and I would buy them from time to time. What a time! I I can't remember the last time I saw books like that. Yeah.
So you knew you almost would turn out to become a writer, or you just got influenced and you just fell in love.
Yeah, even then, I'd been writing. I started writing like since I was 6 or 7 years old, and it was an assignment that my sister brought from school. She's like far older than me, so she was in secondary school at the time. And our English teacher gave her an assignment that they should create a book, like not just write a story, but they had to like design it. And so she got like all these A4 papers, she designed it and all. And I was looking at her, and then me too, I copied her because it was so fine and like just the creativity. So yeah, I did something like that. My sister would never write again. Like she just it's not her thing after the assignment. But I kept on doing things like that. I would take A4 papers. My dad was a teacher, so there was like a lot of A4 papers at home. I'll take A4 papers, write stories. Mostly then the stories were like influenced by the movies we were watching. And we watched a lot of Yoruba movies at that point growing up because we could not speak Yoruba for like a long time. We were born in Jos, and so
Mm-hmm.
we had problems speaking Yoruba until we moved to Lagos. So my dad wanted us to learn to speak. So he was buying Yoruba movies because in Hollywood. And so I was watching a lot of them, and the stories I was writing were like influenced by it. I remember writing King, royal family house stories. All these Nollywood, proper Nollywood stories. So yeah, that was mostly
The
what
one
my
that
stories
the
were
one that
influenced.
surprises me the most. Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah,
No.
I was writing in secondary school to do it should take like a real long time. I think I'm still like that. I could start a story, let's say this year, and throughout that year, I'm still writing the story. I remember once when I was in secondary school, I started reading the story in an exercise book, and because I think the exercise book finished, I don't want to use a totally new book, and then my friend had to like rewrite the whole story for. She's such a queen. She had to rewrite it for me in a bigger exercise book just so I could continue writing that story. My writing process is like really long. I could start a work now and I'll just abandon it, and then I'll pick it up again later. I think I'm still like that anyway. And maybe that's something I need to work on, like actually finishing projects. Yeah.
Finishing project. Will you? Is there ever going to be a time you say you've actually finished a project, like finished the project and left it? Say for
Mm,
when, even when it gets published, there's always that chance for second
yeah.
edition, third edition, corrections here and there.
True.
That hidden sentence somewhere that will just flop the whole stuff down there.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, it's wonderful that it gets to come to you. That means I'm in the muse to write at that early age. One, your parents also influenced you down there and the likes of that. Many persons are saying that in Nigeria, either people are not reading enough because books are so expensive and publishing is not yet that kind of business that we see in Europe and the like of that and the like of that.
Mm-hmm.
If books are made affordable, will people read? I ask this question bearing in mind that I am in Europe, you are in America, and there are books out there in abundance. If I get out of this particular building now, there's a library like 5 minutes away from where I am sitting at the
Wow.
moment and the likes of
Lucky
that.
you.
And it's not just that. There's a park this other side, and in that park there's a national library also down there. And
Lucky you. I'm jealous.
where you are, there are no books, so there's no community
No, but
library.
like your own access is even is even more. So your question was like, if there are access to books in Nigeria, will
Will
Nigerians
people
read?
read?
Hmm.
Because that's the argument. Many persons are saying books are expensive. That's why people are not reading. Some persons are saying even if there are books at affordable prices and the likes of that, people will not read. I am of the opinion that if you create a system, people will follow the system if the system
Hmm.
ordinarily works for them. I've also gotten myself involved in genocide scholarship and the likes of that. And people function around the systems they find themselves. If you are
Yeah.
in a democratic system, whether you like it or not, one way or the other, you tend to conform. If you're in a military regime, one way or the other,
Mm-hmm.
you might not agree, but you try to either save your family's head or save your head and the likes of that. Even Showore, the recent protest they had, at a point he had to run. I think it was Romeo in his poem. I think was it the Garden of Bastards or Nomad. I think it was in Nomad. He
Yeah.
said, the first rule of survivor is to run. And then when you run, you get to come back. So more or
True.
less, you might be in a system, you might not agree, but you want to survive. So you try to. So I feel that's what opinion. I don't know about you. If you create the system and you introduce children to books, the same
Mm-hmm.
way the economist in America, Thomas Sowell, was introduced to books, he resisted initially. If you listen to his documentaries and his story, he resisted because he thought he needed to buy the books from the library. But when he discovered that it was free, and he had about 11 months to go before he started school because he was brought in from, was it Harlem or so, to come to go to school in a different district by somebody who adopted him and all that, who he was handed over to. He quickly picked interest, and then he has become this man he has become. He's in his 90s. He's still writing. He's still appearing for interviews and the likes of that. What about Ben Carson? I
Yeah.
think he children are given books their way, but I don't know about you.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, like my childhood was surrounded by books, so I had no excuse. I think it was when I was growing in uni that my reading reduced. I was still reading, but like reading for leisure or for fun reduced. It was more on my studies, and also social media affected me. I would not lie. So yeah, when while growing up, even when we moved to like a rural area in Ogun State, I still had friends who read in that area. I know people who we started reading together, and just like the trajectory of their lives because of the inaccessibility of opportunities or like money to continue furthering their education, and like life just happened to them. And these are people that if things did not happen, they would continue reading. So I do agree with you that Nigerians will read if there are books available. I think a lot of Nigerians actually love reading, love knowledge, and are curious people. And yeah, they love reading. So I agree with you. If there is access to books, if we have libraries around, if books are cheaper, less expensive, even me, when I was like in uni and I was mostly reading ebooks, I think I would have, and I hate reading ebooks. It stresses me. It is strenuous for me. But at that time, I could not really afford buying most of the books. And so I was reading ebooks. But if books were less expensive, I would buy them and I would read them. And maybe I would not have really allowed social media to like distract me so much from reading. I was still reading, as a matter of fact. Before I started hearing that, I said I'm not reading because I've read like something like this before. Yeah. So yeah, I was still reading. I was also mostly reading magazines and journals, literary magazines and journals and articles and essays instead of just books. So yeah. But I agree with you. Like access, Nigerian. If the system is working, Nigerians would conform. We all just like most of the thing that is limiting Nigerians is access and an head space to actually do it. If there are books around and people are still trying to like survive or look for food, then there would be no
Mhm.
time to actually read. But if everything is in place, there's a time to read, to do other things. People will read.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Keep on telling people if I came from a family probably that would mount this demand on me, like we are looking up to you. You are the one that need to provide for everybody. You need to build a house for your father or your mother, or you need to build this particular business for this your sister or your brother. I don't think one would sit down here and say he's doing literary criticism or doing doc- or doing or doing whatever I don't understand or a podcast about books and all that.
Yeah.
But don't find where warehouse did first. Go see what I go
True.
get 12-hour shift. And many persons don't also appreciate that sense of um the fact that it comes with a little bit of convenience also. You need to be a little bit comfortable to, get things going one way or the
True.
other. And we sometimes are very fast and quick to judge people off the backdrop of the
I,
privileges we as a people had growing
yeah.
up or still have at the moment.
Yeah, I agree with you. Everything is privilege and access, and a lot of people don't see this. They are quick to say, "Oh, she's not reading," or this and that. They are quick to like judge, like you pointed out. But apart from some people will say, "Don't make excuses." Like everyone has whatever they are dealing with, but there are some things that you can't just at that particular time. But then, honestly, everyone to his or her own condition. But I am on the same page with you. Someone who is probably trying to survive, maybe the survivor this time might not even be like livelihood, food, or hunger, and it could just be mentally, psychology, like
Mhm.
it could. if someone is not in the right frame of mind, someone is going through things, people get depressed and all. So anything can happen to people at any point of their life, and that can affect their productivity or the things they do. So yeah, but we are always quick to judge, and I guess
Yeah,
that's just the nature of human beings anyway.
yeah, it reminds me of, I don't remember the person who said this. He said, I am not so much pain about the fact that we had one Einstein. I am pained by the number of Einsteins that never were simply because of the conditions they found themselves.
Yeah.
So somebody will want to think, oh, Einstein is the most, celebrated and most intelligent man that walked the face of modern earth and the likes of that. But then you look at his story, you look at the conditions that made it possible for him to become that
Mhm.
particular person, and then you're like, what if it never happened that particular way?
Yeah.
And I don't want to believe also it happened to you in terms of the way it happened to Chimamanda, or it happened to Chinua Achebe, or it happened to JM Kutsi. They left medicine just to go back to the arts and all that. What was going through Achebe's mind? He was having a national scholarship. I think, was the best either in physics or chemistry, one in his memoir. And
Mm.
in and about that, he's like, I want to leave medicine and I want to go do theology and was it theology and religions of the world. He later studied. And one way or the other, it also still came from a place of privilege, right? Because his brother was just coming back from the states where he had gone to study engineering and all that, and said, okay, we're going to support you. Call mama and papa, and send you food stuff. I can cover your bills, because he lost that opportunity. But there was also the chance that circumstance around him also granted him the chance to
Yeah.
to do that. But then you grew up in the north, or you were born in the north, you moved
Yeah.
down to the west and all that. There's this conversation here I don't understand. You look like me, skin tone and all that for now. But we have albinos, we have a couple of other persons down there.
Mm.
I cannot really distinguish somebody who is from Ogun State, from someone from Oshun, or someone from Ibadan, from somebody from Lagos and all that. How do we? I know we normally ask this question: where your father from, where your papa come from, right? And then from there we take off. And then from there, that the moment you just drop that name, my father is from so and so. They've gotten all the chance to do all the things there. My father used to tell me that the people from so and so place were like this, were like this, were like this. And
Tribalism.
yeah, it fuels this tribal stuff. DK would say, you go abroad and you struggle for equality, and you come back and you begin to practice ethnicity and all that.
I believe it is worse though.
Yeah, I each any somebody asked me one day at the radio and was like, do you experience racism in I'm like, what do you mean by, I'm not disputing anybody's experience, but what do you mean by racism? I was born in Cross River. My father is from the southeast. I know that. I know I would never become governor in Cross River. It's so clear. I know I know even the place where I was born, I speak, I read, I write in the language. I write in like 4 languages in that state. I know I would not hold any political office in that particular place, and it would have nothing to do with it will have nothing to do with my intelligence or lack thereof. It would just have everything to do with where your father from. Where your father from. Meanwhile, we are the most I don't want to. Okay, I did philosophy, so I don't want to do exaggeration. We are very very tribalistic. I wanted to say we are the most tribalistic, but no. I've also been to a couple of African countries, and the story is almost still the same. we are tribalistic, but at the same time, we have friends across boards and across. We have friends from the north, friends from the south, friends from the east. Where do we get it wrong when it comes to this tribalism we tend to carry out? Is it a systemic issue, or it's something we don't really think about deeply before we react? Before we had the technical breakdown there, I was asking you a question as it concerns tribalism and all that. Where did we get it wrong? Is it born out of systemic problems, or is it born out of ourselves? Because I don't think we are that tribal. We're supposed to be that tribalistic the way we are. Because I don't even think you can even explain Nigeria's tribalism to even Nigerians themselves. Because I still find it difficult to believe we are tribalistic, but it is a reality because Nigerians are everywhere across the length and breadth of the country. Every ethnicity is almost represented either in minority or in majority. But then we are still tribalistic. But at the same time, we still intermarry. And at the same time, we are the ones that still tend to be tribalistic. And at the same time, we are the one that we are the ones that are still like friends across boards and all that. So I know say they say if you explain Nigeria, give you understand, that means not be Nigeria. But this tribalism of a thing, me, I don't understand it, but it's there, it's not there. It's like Nigeria itself.
Yeah, I actually think it is there. Like tribalism is there, and it is funny the way it appears, like in subtle things, in things that it does not necessarily need to appear in. And again, it is funny because like when we are talking about tribalism and it is like state tribalism or like because you come from a different tribe, because like I think the blame is on the colonial masters that like colonized us and put us together. But yeah, that is not an excuse for our tribalism. And what is most painful is that we have allowed it to seep into every sector, like literature, government, news, everything like that. And honestly, it is really painful. And there's tribalism in Nigeria, but
Strong one.
yeah. And it is just sad because it is not supposed to be so. Like the sky is so wide and we are one, like we are supposed to be like one Nigeria. But I guess it is just what it is. It is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, before that technical break also occurred, you had said something about there's enough for everybody, and yet we think we don't have enough.
Yeah.
And so we fight for under the pretense or under the illusion that there's scarcity in the land, but indeed we are not even as how do you say it, diverse as America is. People think America is just this United States of America. Ha ha ha. Until until you meet the politics. I think Chimamanda in one of her recent interviews said America is constantly polarizing and it makes it difficult to even want to follow anything. And it's and it still functions, off the radar of whatever president that comes, off the radar of whatever lobbies that work down there and all that. How do you relate with this reality with the people you meet abroad? You meet people, I guess your friends are from different places. You've talked about Ejiro, Edward, you've talked about the different persons down there, and there are people from different spectrum. There are people from different conversations and different angles down there.
Wow.
Is that a true sense of how we were supposed to live? As one, like you meet them abroad, you meet them in different places, or the pattern we have back home is the way we ought to go. We are still friends back home, but that sense of divide. Should we divide or should we stay together?
Wait, I don't get the question. Like,
The
if we
question,
meet in the diaspora,
yeah, we meet when we meet abroad, we're almost like cool and all that. And I'm not saying everybody, because I've also heard situation of Basbos and they still carry am again, still reach abroad, still
Yeah.
continue with their stuff. But for you, as an educated writer and a poet, someone who's just recently published such a wonderful book and all that, what way? Why are you smiling? Is it smiling or blushing? I don't know now, but what your work is so great. Your work is so good, and it captures the length and breadth of the different realities we as a people have. You didn't just walk on your own country alone. You crossed, you went to the Middle East, you came back, you went to different parts, and like you said, you believe in humanity, right?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Like you said, there are people who carry grudges from like Nigeria and bring it to like the diaspora. Honestly, I think it should not be so, but it is individual, like people and their values. And I also think maybe the nature of the grudge.
What's the nature
The,
of the grudge?
maybe like I think that is like a determining factor.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if the grudge is something that they feel like they can, settle, then
Mm-hmm.
maybe. But for some people, they they might not think that it is worth settling, and they might like just continue bringing it
Mm-hmm.
up. And something I've realized about grudges or fights is that even when it is settled and people claim to be cool again, once in a
Mm-hmm.
while, like
They
it
rub shoulders and
just
then they
snap.
wound. Yeah.
Exactly. It will snap up and they'll just like behave anyhow. Well, it's normal. I mean, we are human beings. And even if it was not like the grudge um that sparked it, or but the fact that there has been a grudge before, so both parties would think that, oh, maybe she's still reacting based
Angry.
on
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So I think that.
Would you like to read for us from any of your collection,
Yeah.
be it past works, or if you want to do some, not some spoilers, if you want to give us an insight into what your current work is about? Hmm.
Okay. Okay, this should can I say this in record now?
Okay, you can say anything.
Okay, I want to just ask that this is like in relation to the question you asked before about like work
Mhm.
in progress before
Yeah,
the
yeah.
technical. Yeah. So
Okay, okay.
yes, so I do have a manuscript I'm working on, a poetry
Mm-hmm.
collection, which was what
Yeah.
I supposed to work on for my MFA. And like the title before was like FaceTime in Gold. I think I would still keep the title anyway, unless like the editors changed it.
Editors, those guys are on
Yeah,
their own. They smoke their own weed, but they do good work. They do good work. Yeah.
yeah, right. But like the themes have started changing because these days I find myself writing more about places than what I initially intended to write about. And like I am continuing that way. So hopefully let's see. And yeah, I'm also working on a short story or like short stories. And I'm hoping to like turn it into a collection
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
yep, so it can be like a collection of short stories. I also have like a novel idea in my head, which I've written the synopsis, but I've not started working on it. But I hope to start working on it soon, especially with like workshops. Since I have
Mm-hmm.
to submit work for workshops, so I have no choice. I have to like work on it.
So now that you are in the diaspora, how do you look at your work? How do you set how your team said, there's this idea of like almost just writing back about home, be it Nigeria, be it Ghana, be it Liberia, wherever the writer comes from. And then there's also the other blend of trying to blend it with different locations and then try to see at the moment you're currently in Alabama and all that. How do you envisage your experiences down there and then how you look back at your own home country? Because at the moment you are not there, you are not seeing what is happening there. I think it was in my conversation with Darlington Chibueze, he had he had talked about the idea of you sometimes have to leave so you can see clearly and see what's happening down there. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what's happening to you or you're like completely seeing all the time.
Hmm. Okay, for me, it is two ways. And this idea of seeing clearly, I also
Mhm.
addressed it in a poem in my sharp book. But so it is two way for me in the sense that since I came here, I've the number of Nigerian news I read has reduced, even from Twitter. Sometimes I don't see things happening in Nigeria on like the way I see it before. The other day, my roommate, who is also Nigerian, was telling me about an incident, and she was like, "Oh, it was viral. Everyone was talking about it on Twitter, and I did not see it. I did not know about it, and I was on Twitter all day, but like it just did not show on my feed. So I think
Are you following Trump? Are you on? Maybe you should start using Truth Social, Trump's Truth Social, so you get to see news faster about
so.
Nigeria.
Yeah. So there's that. But there is also the fact that I'm also starting to see things about Nigeria in a different way being here. Like now I can see Nigeria more clearly. I can say, okay, I have something else to compare Nigeria with, like more practically than just hearing about it. Like I'm living it now and I've also lived Nigerian life. So I can compare both than when I'm just like comparing in my head. So and I
Uh-huh.
think that gives me this um it gives me this bird eye view of seeing the country in a kind of
Uh-huh.
way and seeing things
EFCC, EFCC.
that I would not have seen when I was there. And like those are like the little things, yeah.
I just want to ask on the question of those who get to influence you and the likes of that. Who are those you tend to come back over and over again to read their works, and who are those if you're left, let's say in if you're left in an island, let's say more or less like Moby Dick and the kind of conversation down there, and you're like left with a very few works to take with you on that particular journey. Who would you be reading? Apart from yourself, anyways, because you yourself you're an author. So apart from yourself, who would you be reading?
Again, difficult question to answer. And really, it could be any book.
It could be any book, it could be any author,
Yeah.
it could be from anywhere. I am always biased to always go back to the African continent nonetheless, but I still find a lot of I find Munif from Saudi very, very interesting. Cities of Salt. He wrote that he was banned in Saudi, it was banned in almost all the Saudi states and all that. He was about oil, definitely. He was an oil economist, and then he became a writer and he wrote very, very well, and he was exiled and all that. But yeah.
Mhm. And this just reminds me of Mary Jane Satrapi. Though,
Hmm.
apart from Persepolis that I read, I don't think she I think she had like two other books out, but I've not read them. But then I really enjoyed my Persepolis.
Hmm.
It is like a comic book based on the Iran war,
Hmm.
and it was really good. It is non-fiction, and it is like a really good book. So yeah, I think that kind of book would keep me distracted. So maybe I might want to audit on an island. I also think any of Shimamanda's book would like like take my attention that way.
But won't you be looking for Kainene at the end of the day? Where did
But
Kainene
at
go to?
least I would sit down and read it, and I would not be distracted by anything around me, and I would just focus on the book. There are some books that I enjoy reading, but I find them difficult to like concentrate on. I'm currently reading a book. I don't want to mention the name. And no, it is actually a good book. I'm serious. Like, it is a good
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
It is an award-winning book, and it is a good book. And
Some of them are just hard. Some of those people are mad people. They just smoke their weed or listen to the gods or muse wherever they get them, and then they come and confuse we normal people. That's why
but
they are good writers.
yeah, but like I struggled through the first pages. I think
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
yesterday when I passed like the first pages, I'm in the
Yeah,
middle now. Then it
yeah,
started grabbing my attention. So I
sure.
categorize my books like that. There are some books that are from the first page. I don't want to leave it. And I'm like that when I'm reading. Once I start reading, I just get until I'm done with that book. I mean, oh, she made Garrix too.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Garrix.
What's the title of this book about the oil stuff in Port Harcourt?
Um, is it Elon? Is it oil on water?
Is it oil? No. Oh, did I mention the wrong person? Eh, there is it there was a country? No.
Okay, okay. You're talking about is it not Chinua Achebe? Chinua Achebe's There Was a Country?
Country.
No.
Yeah, no, this is like a contemporary author. It is about like the oil theft in the Niger Delta area.
Mm, the other guys comes to mind. Is it Akpanu Wims?
Oh God, let me see if I took a picture of that book. Is it? Or there will be. Oh, I know where to find it because I know someone who is also crazy about the book. Uh,
No, Nigeria Will Make Heaven. No.
it's the storyline is like four guys were friends. They grew up together in the Niger Delta. One
Mm-hmm.
became a doctor, then another a lawyer, and one became a like oil bandit. I was terrorizing the people. So he wrote it from like each of their perspective, first person narration. I'm right, Chimeka Garrick, tomorrow died yesterday.
Tomorrow Died Yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that book, when I was reading it, I could not like stop reading it. So I often categorize my book reading experience in that way. Some books right from the first page I can't stop reading it. And some books I have to like force myself and then later I start to enjoy it. So if I would go to an island alone, so I have to concentrate and to not get distracted, I would want to pick a book that can hook me from the beginning. And that's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think I've been saying a lot of story instead of like mentioning the actual book, which I cannot because I've forgotten titles of the books I've read. I
Yeah.
can only like remember the authors and maybe the storylines and things like that. And that's it.
Ever since you started writing up until now, what are the visible changes you've seen in your writing patterns, and what are the things you think ought to change? Maybe not ought to change, though that can be kept for your own personal stuff, but then has there been any significant change so far? And
Yeah.
why I'm asking this is in relation to young writers and their reactions to editors and the reactions that come with the way their works get to either upgrade or they perceive their voice have been taken away and all that. And then thereafter, and then I might ask you a question on your MFA and what the rebels and the anti-intellectuals have to say about MFA and the likes of that.
Yeah. So recently I was working on a short story that I wrote in 2019 and I was really pained at the time that the story was rejected because like my friends had showered me with comments and people had already told me that the story was good. And so that got into my head and I thought, oh, the story was the best thing
We
in the
can't
world.
wait until you get publish this book and it start winning. You see the Kane Prize for African. Okay.
So I really thought it was the best thing after Agege bread or wherever. So when the rejection came, I was like really devastated and I just abandoned it since 2019. And because of workshop recently, I had to go back to the story and going back to it and revising it to submit it for workshop. Like I was grateful that it was not published at the time. I began to see a lot of things that I would not have been proud of if it were published then, like right now
Mm-hmm.
looking back. So and I think this is something that a lot of young writers, including myself, should put into view when we are submitting a work and it is getting published. And sometimes it may not be about the content or it might just be the style. The style may not fit what the editor is looking for or the
Mm-hmm.
magazine or journal's focus at that particular time. And sometimes it might be a word that perhaps does not perfectly fit what we are talking about. Like it is a whole lot of things. So I think that's something we can work on. We should work on. We should know that while editing, things has to go and some things can remain. Yeah.
And then the Rebels and MFA programs. You've been there. You currently uh, doing your program in Alabama and all that. Are there visible changes to how you used to write and how you're writing now? Are there things you've learned so far as it concerns honing the craft to get it better out there? Because now also, mind you, you are now amongst the new crop of African poets and writers coming out of the continent, and there's a whole lot of expectations on your shoulder and your colleagues and the people both in the chapbook and then those outside of it. And then as the years turn into decades and all that, silver jubilee and all that, even to centuries, people will reference your work back. So are there changes? Are there benefits to this? Should people do this program, or should they, turn to Chico Nigwe and tell her, there's no need for this, man, stop advertising this stuff? Should they turn to Chisom Okafor and say, why are you guys wasting your time? Should they turn to the writer in resident in Lincoln, Nebraska? That's one of your favorite author, Ibrahim, and tell him, it's not important. Just let it go. Just do other things and the likes of that.
There are no two ways to like anything. There is no one way to anything, I mean. Like there are
Mm-hmm.
different ways. So an MFA is good. For me, it is good and I'm beginning to see its impact on my writing. Like I've only just spent a semester here. Today is like the last day of school for
Yeah,
this session.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so but I've seen a lot of things. For instance, the story I talked about, I don't think I would have gone back to it without having to submit it for workshop. And that's an impact. And after workshopping it with resources and materials also, it is like better. This is something I most of the resources and material I don't have access to before. I know fine, I
Mm-hmm.
might have gotten access to it from elsewhere. Like I mean it is a an it is an online world and like resources are everywhere. But
But you should also bear in mind that the cyberspace also take into cognizance your location and
yeah,
what they can allow you to see, what you can even browse on the internet. For instance, if you want to watch certain movies, if you're not like in Australia or in
see,
Eastern Europe, you can't
yes,
even view them.
that
Like,
is
I mean,
like
the legal way. I'm not talking
yeah.
about the normal Appian way where they use Net Niger and all
Yeah,
that.
and that is like a whole different thing on its own. I don't need to do that here. And there's Wi-Fi. I can stream a movie if I want to. I don't need to download it. These are issues that used to come up back home. And it could be something as little as no space on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
See, there are so many stupid things that we face in Nigeria. So many stupid barriers that would not let you get something done.
People download movies at night using cheap data on YouTube, save them so they can watch offline during the day, and So you stress yourself all through the night,
I was
and
sharing
then
Netflix with my siblings, and I would go to the office, download the movies because I have Wi-Fi in the office to download from. And Netflix, if you are downloading on one device, you can't download on
yeah,
another device. And
sure.
my siblings would not be able to download, and I'll ask them to stream. And just so many things like that. See, it
Well,
is
Nigeria,
but
you do this one for us.
so yeah, access to things like that. These are what makes an MFA different. Access to
Yeah,
people also. Yeah, I don't have to send anybody a message on social media or wherever. My professors are there. I can just walk up to them, schedule an appointment with them, ask them any questions on writing.
and they sit down with you. That's the most shocking part. Many persons don't understand, and up till now, many students still don't know how to assess and use that particular opportunity.
Two of my professors used to drive us home after workshop. But my fiction, and we just in the car, and my poetry professor.
Person go say
So
Nigeria, they
we
go
ask
say
any
na
questions.
film.
Yeah, we talk about random things and everything. So it's like it, and these are
Why not?
people that are out
Did you
there. They
did you
know what,
send them money for fuel?
of course, no.
Nigeria, China, no, no, no,
But
no,
and they
no.
are so happy to do it. They always want to do it. So
Then
it's just
they'll tell you back home
I
you have to pay money
this
for
cannot happen in
fuel,
Nigeria. Your professor, Allah,
money for generator to print your project and read. Uh,
I need to sit down one day and start comparing the kind of university life I had in Nigeria and yeah. And I just know that
I didn't attend any I didn't attend any university in Nigeria, so public university and all that. So I don't really know what you guys went through, right? So
oh my god.
my university
I
experience more
mean
or less are from Europe and all that. So
I mean
it's strange.
I submitted my thing paper while lying on my bed because it was soft copies. I just emailed it to my professor Nigerian.
Nigeria.
It's not that you cannot do this, but they want you to print it out, paraband it, do everything, and line up in their office to submit. See, it is a lot. It is a lot. So yeah, and MFA is good. It bridges the
Some
gap for so many things. There's also community, also for the enlightenment and just learning and discovering new things. It has so many opportunities actually.
So yeah, I think people should do MFA. I
Yeah,
think people should do
I
what
too.
they need to do. I don't like this idea of anti-intellectualism we are putting up with in our time, thinking money is everything. Money can never be everything. Money can aid research, but money cannot become research. Money cannot become novels. Else America wouldn't have continued researching into medications and drugs and everything they do and all their soft power and their geopolitics they tend to do because they know the importance. They have money. They have money down there, but they still know the importance of the raw materials, Gun State or in Akure or in Ghana. They still know that they need to take from Congo or even from Ukraine. They are trying to help. They are still benefiting from mineral deposits in Ukraine as part of their deal to help Ukraine get them. They're not doing it for free. Any person think it's free. Free for it. America help you for free. Okay, now we hear you. So they'll come to okay. Nigerian case is a different thing. They say they are coming to. We say they want to come and take our resources. The resources that our leaders have been allowing bandits do banditry and then steal those stuff from the north and take and go abroad. Nobody's even monitoring. And yet we have tech bros and tech sis. The tech bros and tech sis in Nigeria is another group of people I don't want us to even bother going down to. Everybody just have a portfolio on the internet anyways. It's the most easiest thing now to do. But then when you imagine your work years from now, what would you want a careful reader to say they recognize as consistent across everything you have written? If you look at Achebe, It's like he never gets tired of beating Conrad all the time. He picks him up, beats him, puts him down. So rest tomorrow, we come back again, beats him, and then he picks up the colonizer today when he was 40. He picks him up again when he's 60 and beats him again. Say, oh, the one I did to you 20 years ago is not enough. Let me give you another. Then he picks up Nigerian leaders and tell them again, like Peter Obi will not keep on telling them about politics and leadership and all that. So what are we supposed to find running consistently into the future when we pick up your work? When we are here in our old age, and more so when the next generation comes and they don't find us here anymore.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, while as you all know, and as my share book also shows,
Yeah.
I write about Nigeria, about like the instability, corruption, and everything. And even though I'm beginning to like shift away from those things to more personal things and
Yeah.
things of places and just life. But I still feel like even that is political, and there's still going to be like this political undertone.
Uh-huh.
There, maybe not just as loud as my earlier poems are, but definitely I think that's something that will continuously show in my poem, because I'm naturally an activist, and I don't just want to write for writing's sake. I want my writing to do something.
Like Nikki
So,
Giovanni. I'm
mm,
currently reading her latest collection, the latest collection that was released of her poems, I think from 1968 or 67
mm.
up until 2020, I guess. I got that sometime in July, but like poems, you most likely will not want to finish them on time. So it'll take you, it spanned decades, so you also need to give it time and you pick.
Mhm.
I like the way she wrote.
I like books like that. And even more so because there's this trend about people rushing to do everything. You want to publish
Okay.
a
Okay.
sharp book in 1 year, and in the next year you still want to publish full manuscript. Like, writing is supposed to take time to there's supposed to be a space. I don't know, but like,
No, they
well,
can become they can become Stephen Fry. There's no problem. It's not a problem. They can publish book
everyone
every
to
AK market
whatever
day.
works.
What
Yeah,
it's
everyone to whatever works for them, I guess. But I believe writing should take time, and well, but then yeah, everyone to whatever works for them.
where are they rushing to? Like the Nobel Prize now by quantity.
Sometimes, for some people, what we want is different. So for some people, it's more about the race than, and again, to prove something. I don't want to dive too much into that. It should not be as
Sure,
if like
sure. Yeah, I
I'm
get you. I get
but
you. I've been
I'm
here. I've
yeah,
been here. I've seen a
and
lot
I'm
too.
not.
I
So
know. I have spoken to lots of persons. Those who have accepted to speak to me on camera and those who've just done offline. I've spoken to people. That's why when that problem happened, I said I heard you. I listened to you because many persons say, "Oh, I want to talk to you offline. You can use my idea. You can coach me. You can do this, or you can at most do an audio record." It's a good thing. Do you think your shift from the loud way of thinking and writing is born out of the shift of culture? You're now in like a much more calmer environment. You don't hear the in Ibadan, you see the guys at the Baba driving the Mikra. Those ones are just those ones they have like 7 lives kept at home. They're like Black Panther is still learning work. They have like 7 lives kept somewhere. They put one hand like this outside and then they meet you for they'll be telling trailer to better clear from the road and all of those type of conversations. So do you think it's your situation, your environment, or just a personal reflection and growth as you age younger?
Okay, so it is both and more. Like
More.
in the
Okay.
previous record, you mentioned something about like how people view our work, and you
Mm-hmm.
asked
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah, you asked
A
that.
question about how we are perceived as,
Yeah,
born out of the very fact that, now you are not just speaking to Nigerians and
yeah,
locals alone.
audience.
Yeah, you have an
Exactly.
international audience now that also you don't just want them, like my own content. If a Nigerian stumbles upon my reels, I'm fine with that because they understand what I'm talking about. Except is a Nigerian who has refused to be realistic with life, or who is a very, very privileged or benefiting Nigerian
Mhm,
that will see a problem with reels like that or poems that are very hard like that. But the problem still is outsiders now coming to see that kind of stuff.
mhm.
It becomes that place to draw the boundary, right?
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons, and also personal conviction, because I find out that I'm an activist, but maybe sometimes activism does not have to be like loud, 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 or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
direct. So yes, I want my poem to explore more personal things, but at the same time, I still want to address the issues going on with Nigeria. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm interested in how to like fuse both of it together to achieve both. I think I did it with like one or two poems in Ashes. Also,
Yeah.
like the poem titled 99, which was like
Mm-hmm.
a grandfather poem. But more than it being about grandfather, it was also about Nigeria. And that showed in the end and some things like that.
Well, it's been a long walk down here. It's been a long walk. When I mean a long walk, run out of the years that led to you writing now and what is still waiting for you in the future down there for that Nigerian out there, that Ghanaian out there, that Cameroonian out there who 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 is struggling with a whole lot of stuff, no books, stuff like that, all of those type of questions and all that. What should be their watchword? Hope, hard work, or what?
Maybe
To
both.
them, to them, and then also to their leaders. To Because you've seen it, you go to workshops, you submit works, and then they are read. And sometimes also you see very, very young people aspiring to be writers. In Nigeria, they want you to be maybe like when you're turning like 40, 50 before you can start looking like a writer. When you don't look for work, look for work. Work don't run away from you. Then okay, now you can start thinking of, because people are finding it difficult to like imagine young people as who they're supposed to be. I have a French friend. She recently turned 21, but I've known her for like 4 years now, and she's a politician. And you're also in the US, and you see how very young people, even at the moment in France, also there's a very young person that might oust the current president of office, and old people are supporting him. They're not saying, "Do you know who I am?" and the likes of that. What should our leaders be doing with young talents? Go to embassies, congressmen and women. You've been to different embassies, you've seen very young people. I met an ambassador not too long ago. She actually had to do study African studies up to the extent of a master's degree, because she was having this desire to become a diplomat in where Africa. So she knows the terrain. She knows a lot of stuff about it already. She did internship in Kenya. She went to Nigeria. She was in Ghana, and she was sent to our continent to become a minister, to become an ambassador. I don't want to call the country, but she also was in our country at a point, and she also was in another country, and we spoke, and now we're having this bunch of ambassadorial lists. Nigeria had no ambassadors for a very long period of time until Trump shouted God, and then everybody started panicking. But look at the crop of guys we're having: Ugwani, Reno, Mokri, FFK. I don't, yeah, and then you name it. People, how will I say, career politicians or people who ordinarily they might be qualified for other things, but for this place, I think they should be left for, how do you say it, people who are actually well knowledgeable in that. And I still think it's born out of this anti-intellectualism we are talking about. We have no regards for those who do research and studies. So how should we go forward as we wrap up? Both as a people and the government. The government is still the people, right? They are brothers and sisters, uncles and aunties and fathers and mothers.
Okay, though I feel like we've said this, but I guess we'll continue saying it, like we'll continue repeating it. The only way forward for Nigeria is, apart from our government, is also like through us. But definitely the government has to do something, to the system has to work, and a lot of reform needs to take place. I also believe that we as citizens, in our own little ways, it is the little things, and it starts with, like, with us, with the community we live in, the
Mm-hmm.
organizations we belong to, and things like that. It starts by unit, like from the family, then to the society and all of that. In what little ways is it true? Maybe just picking up the refuse and not littering the ground.
Yeah.
Little things like that, making sure the system works, doing what we are supposed to do at the right time, doing our works or our jobs efficiently. Because these things are little, but in this place, the way they take things seriously, especially their job and the things that should be done, that is why the
Yep.
system works. In Nigeria, it could be something like your lecturer not answering you. That is the lecturer job. And it is honestly, it's even the little things like that clerk at one of the government office or local government asking for bribe and things like that. The police on the road. So that police is also someone's father. The clerk is also someone's mother. So it is like it starts from us. Let's I really wish Nigeria can work and can be better. And the government is doing its own, and they are the one that caused all of this, because there's just this lack of this anyhowness. I think that's the word. There's this anyhowness in Nigeria. We don't care. We just do things anyhow. And one thing that I've noticed here is that they take care of everything they do. You cannot do anyhow here. Like you just can't do anyhow.
Yeah, because the
And
roads don't
different
clean themselves. The mechanic does what they ought to do. And I know many fathers might have a problem with this particular, but men still sweep road, men still plant flowers on boulevards and all of those type of stuff. Women still do stuff. Old people, not old
that
people like that, but those who call old people and will say, my mother can never do that kind of stuff, are the ones taking care of the toilets and all that. And because many persons always think, they are allowing us to come to their country so we can come and clean their toilets. And I'm like, no, they do that. You've been to these places, you see janitors here and there. They do this stuff. And it's the dignity of work they take so serious because it's their
seriously,
country. It's their country. The baker, the cook, the toilet cleaner, the
the
guy who
driver,
cleans the
the school bus drivers and all of that. They're
and
like
it's
elderly people.
everybody. It's everybody. And everybody in Nigeria thinks, they're like everybody gets to think they're they are good. The next person is a bad person. But even if you bring 20 P2B now, who is like a strong contender now, and you merge him with Atiku on the other hand, that people are still having hope down there for and all that. it most likely will not change anything. Tinubu is in Abuja. Let's assume he's not making enough decisions as we think he should be making. But he's not in Akure. He's not in Ibadan. He's not the one that took that bribe last month. He's not the one that will take the one next week from that woman that wants her son to get her documents signed so that the son can apply for scholarship abroad.
Right.
And he's not the one in different embassies teaching foreign diplomats how to take bribes also.
Uh-huh.
Okay, okay. Anyways,
So it goes
I'm
with
living
us.
abroad legally, so nobody can come for me and say I didn't pay anybody any money. So those who pay
No,
money, I don't allegedly, let me say it allegedly. Okay, Muna can't carry me now, mercy.
you're actually right. It begins with us. And there's this Islamic saying that God does not change the condition of the people until they change that which is within them. And honestly, I believe it. And also, like, our leaders are like us. Like, if God picks our leaders from among us, and that's just like we are the reflection of our leaders are a reflection of us. Though I Nigerian leaders are like something else entirely. They're like something else. But one day,
Whoa,
one
that's how to think about Nigeria. You know,
you are lost on both.
I think the person that will write about Nigeria has not been born yet. Like the beautiful ones are not yet born.
Yeah,
Like
no,
that
yeah.
person that will sit down and really comprehend the country, with the lack of data we have back home. We have so they say research gap. There's no research gap abroad. There's research gap in Nigeria. Like the research gap. You cannot even bridge the research gap with 20 PhD theses or whatsoever. I hope things come to get better. I hope we rise again from ashes back to where we ought to be. I hope
So
we use the ashes nonetheless still like manure to get to, you know, make the soil fertile again. The soil is already fertile. We have people, we have the person who travel abroad no succeed. Maybe out of systemic difficulties and all that, that's fine. But typically you suppose succeed.
yeah.
Like in Nigeria, when you don't commode, say, I used to clean so and so house for free. Now I can go and do it and then they will pay me. I used to go
Mhm.
and take care of my grandma without gloves and everything. And then now I can go and do care job and then they will pay me. With that mentality, as opposed to the mentality of abroad hard, this work is too dirty for me. Think about how you maybe some of us never did those stuff, but majority of the persons fell in that category where there will be no running water and all that. So if you come with that mentality, okay, I know there will be parties, there will be lots of other stuff, vacations and all that, but no forget why you come out Nigeria. No forget why you don't come out. There will be J Store, there will be Taylor and Francis free to most of your universities will have access to them, or even if they don't have access to them, you can pay and you will not even feel it. You can buy books and you will not even feel it. As
Yeah.
opposed to
Their
I bought
libraries itself, yeah.
yeah, I bought Nikki Mills Wahala for a friend of mine. The only copy I saw in that bookshop for less than money for one Starbucks, and he was very very happy that I gave the book to him and all that because he has heard me talk about Wahala. Now I'm giving him a book that actually is about Wahala, and then the
I
title it
need
was like so so lovely and okay.
I need to read the book.
You should read Nikki's work, Madam Nikki. You see, even whenever I talk about this Nikki, the ones that I still feel this African stuff is still in my head. Normally, Madam, when you read Madam Nikki's work, you still get to like it and all of those type of stuff. My mother you get to watch my podcast before she hears me calling her age mate Nikki, and she'll write to me and say, who are you calling like that again? Will you be kind enough to read one or two poems from your recent collections while we wrap up?
So, the other time I was saying that I address like not seeing Nigeria when you're in
Yeah.
Nigeria than yesterday. So
Yeah.
I would read the poem that talked about it. It is titled The City's Back Door. The City's Back Door. Wait, let me show you my sharp.
Okay. Yo.
Yeah, this is it. So, the city's back door. Call me a prodigal running, but I am not. My eyes opened and can now see the bloodlines. It is perhaps true that you can't see yourself until you step out of your skin. But Nigeria does not need you to step out before you see all its flaws. They are right there, poking you in the eye. I strived so hard to love here, even with the discretion. Reminds me of the innocent boy from the tutorials before he wore a Yoruba man's crest. Look, I do not know how to comfort what I do not know how to love, or what has decided to be unloved. This country kills me daily, and my body is now dead from dying. I want to fall in love with her. Again, my memory ricochets to the boy from college. He too broke me. Yesterday, I picked up the remnant of my dreams and took a French leave through the city's back door. I am not a prodigal running. Thank you. Let me read another one. And this other one is titled Hide and Seek. Do you know how high you have to count to be eating for 5 years? Hell, no one told 5-year-olds to hush and listen closely as death runs by. My mother's palms are up together, shaking in dismay, like dried leaves on a turbulent sea, her lips quivering as her eyes jeer toward the sky, begging Araman to keep us safe from all that quakes this place. Not everyone who witnesses the start of a war lives long enough to watch its flames die out. I watched as they dragged an old man by his hair, whose only crime was being different. I shiver, wondering if I will witness this happening to my father too. In Palestine, Sudan, Maduguri, and Jos, many innocent lives get cut short for the difference in tongue, belief, or color. I think of similarities as bulletproof. Our bruised hearts. Look at the world. See, it aches. Just yesterday, my mother owned as she made potatoes and runny eggs. Today I ran, my eggs untouched. I ran toward the hideout, the border, toward freedom, toward peace. I hope on mother's dodges as they accompany my step toward extinction. I watch the world bleed from every angle, every defense pour into chaos. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for making our time to speak to us, to speak with us, and to speak for us as a people, as a race. And it's been a pleasure. It's been a turbulent record, back and forth. I, I don't want to always look at them from the standpoint of record because, but nonetheless, this has become more like a record. If it was just like a seamless stuff, it would have been more like a conversation. But thank you for granting us the chance to talk to you. Thank you for allowing us to run almost on an hour again after we did 2 extra hour, and then that went to my ears alone, and I hope I don't come to forget them anytime soon. And I might do a solo report on that particular part because I have my own part kept, but yours is not down there. But we'll see what happens. I really, really appreciate you've been listening to boring conversations, and I hope at this point you've not had a boring conversation at all. I am Biringkpa Mecca. I've been talking to Rama
Jimo.
Jimo. She's a Nigerian writer and poet currently living her life la vida in Alabama, the US. And we're glad for her publication down here. We hope more come out from this particular place. We wish her many years in the
Thank
industry.
you.
Health, health is so important. We wish her health, and we wish her well. We wish her well-being. We wish that she gets to meet the right people that would get to support her. We pray that those who will help her will not stress her before they help her, and that she also would come to help other persons going forward. It is a dream and an aspiration that where this has come from, more will come from there. The reward for the reward for hard work is more work, and so we want more work. It might not be in a hurry. I think it was a Ghanaian poet that said those with the wing of
Oh,
the eagle, yeah, have gone,
yes,
have gone, have gone. But surely I would take
yeah.
my flight. I cannot remember
Those
how
who
exactly.
can, those who have gone before should.
Yeah,
I
those who
will.
have gone before, those with wings as swift as whatever have gone before
Yes,
can go,
I
but
will,
surely, yeah,
and I will
yeah. So
arrive.
yeah, but in and about that also is the conversation down here, slowly and steady. The next generation is still far off, so we're not writing for the current crop of Twitter warlords and and election tribalists and the likes of that who divide Igbos and Yorubas and Hausas and Christians and Muslims and traditionalists and those who worship and those who don't even worship. What we are writing and hoping for is it's a Nigeria that we shouldn't even be thinking about anything. I I had blocked nose earlier this week,
Okay.
and I was on a duvet, but I didn't want my apartment, how do you call it, my space to have this scent from Aboniki and other balms and other essential oil I'd used to like get my nose free, right? I brought out a bowl with
Mm.
hot water in front of the hallway, opened my door, like people were passing, nobody bothered to think if I was a ritualist or if I was an occult person. Like I stopped and I thought about that for a moment. I'm like, this was yesterday. I said I really, really need to keep a very clear nose for this particular interview. Nobody budged and said, okay, maybe this guy is doing something. They didn't even know if it's, and I was completely covered.
Wow,
Just imagine a minute.
that cannot be in Nigeria.
Just
People
imagine.
will.
I just I'm like,
"Ah, what happened to you? Hey, sorry." Things like that.
not be even that one. Sef. That one good day. That one good day. But the other angle would also be, you won't use all of us do something for this place. Abi. You know, I know they understand the point of getting this stuff out, but just imagine it's a culture that they don't do that
Yeah.
ordinarily. They use antibiotics and all that because the doctor was telling me to wait. I'm like, but the interviews are coming closer. I already booked this. I have some tomorrow and all that. And it's a place they don't understand. I just imagine they'll be like, this guy won't use all of us do something. Oh yeah, boys, come. What? It's a different it's a different culture and all that. And we thank you plentifully. We
Thank you.
thank you
Thank you so much.
plentifully.
It's an honor to be on your podcast, Boring Conversations. Yeah. And I really enjoyed it. Yeah, you are a great conversationalist, and I think I learned a lot from the conversations, and it was like enlightening. Yeah, thank you,
Hmm.
thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Tell your friends to come and talk to me, please, if they want to. I am open to talk to anybody, but I don't talk to fascists anyways. But apart from fascists, I can talk to I might change my mind so that I can humble fascists because. But the only problem I have with fascists is that they don't believe in argument. That's the only reason why I don't talk to them. So if you don't want to argue and discuss, you just want to only tell me your own ideas, I am not a punching bag where you throw things at. So, but if you want to talk, why
Yeah.
not? So I hope to talk to more persons. Sometimes I'm trying to curate the conversations in different lights and in different ways, but I most likely will stop. I will just publish them as they come. Another thing also is PR and publicity, but we hope everything turn out well. We hope everything come out completely well and all that. It's been a wonderful conversation down here. I hope to see you in the future, way better, in a better place. It's not as if you're not in a better place, but the superlative never gets to be exhausted, right? In a better place and even in a place that will be best for you and that will make your writing so easy that you will not even know it's that easy. Because some persons find problem with when something is easy. They're like, it's not supposed easy like this, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, yeah, we are halfway there and we'll see what the future holds. Thank you.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Peace out.
bye.
Yeah, I would end it now. And then yeah, I can see the edge recording. Don't worry, don't
Hopefully,
worry, don't worry, don't
it
worry.
is
No, no, no,
recorded.
no, 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 no. Before we close, I should note that part of our conversation could not be captured in full due to technical limitations on the recording. What remains, however, is the core of the exchange. That is the experience that shaped Ashes, the questions of memory and place, and the wider realities that frame writing from Nigeria today. Those are the in and about the conversations we were able to capture, the technicalities that is in and about this app sometimes are things we cannot fully fathom sometimes, and we hope that now into the near future we'll be able to have conversations grounded on site. We traveling to those places to get to interview our guests, and even if it would not happen that way, that we have better um, network stability and the likes of that, and then these technicalities can be avoided. We do apologize to our viewers who will not be able to, understand and get the other part of the message down there. We and Rama were just having a conversation after the record, after we noticed the situation down there, and she's like, "So nobody would listen to the other part of my record?" And I'm like, "No, I myself listened to you. I heard your responses. I heard your answers." And it was indeed a wonderful conversation. And I hope in the long run, the world comes to hear her voice, the world comes to hear and know the person of Rama Jimoh. My thanks to Rama for the clarity and care she brought to this conversation. The work continues next time. We hope to have her again on the podcast. We hope to have her sit with us, have this conversation, and even in a better light. In and about this is what we have for you today. My name is Biringkpa Mecca, and this is Boring Conversations. See you next time.